I don't know how to transition out of this, so Raiden Shogun bad, the movie. Raiden Shogun is the worst written character since my 12-year-old self made RuneScape fanfiction. Unfortunately, she's also one of the most popular Genshin Impact characters. There's two reasons for this, and they're spelled T and A. Okay, the A is supposed to be behind her, but you get what I'm doing. While I'm not opposed to attractive characters and things...
Damn, girl, you shit with that ass?
I do have problems with the absolute worst written character in anything. Especially when their writers strut onto stage to brag about how great they are at storytelling, when they clearly don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Like, you know how artists get mad at the tech bros who just buy computer programs and have AI draw for them and they call themselves artists? Yeah, that's kind of how I feel when I look at these clowns. Because they're clearly full of shit and they make me look bad, so yeah. Anyway, let's talk about what Raiden actually is about. For background details, Genshin Impact is a gacha game for children and man-children, where you adventure in a paper-thin fantasy setting with colorful blocks of wood as companions. The dullest and most wooden being Raiden Shogun. Raiden, or A, or whatever the fuck you want to call her, is the Archon of electricity, which means she's the god king of that element. She also has some vague connection to the distribution of magic tchotchkes that give electricity powers to other people. But this whole thing is kept unclear, probably because the writers don't want to commit to anything and they don't actually know what they want to do with this plot point yet, so they're just kind of keeping it super vague and hoping you don't ask any questions. Anyway, this makes her kind of like Santa, but for superpowers, except she's more like bad Santa, because in the plot she decides to take away people's tchotchkes for eternity, which isn't a measure of time, but her goal, or philosophy? In her few appearances, she doesn't shut up about it.
You are the enemy of eternity. Be conducive to eternity. Eternity.
But there's not like a hard description of what it means. I even checked the wiki and asked other Genshin fans what Raiden wants to do, and I haven't gotten a consistent answer yet. My best guess is that she wants to remove change as a concept, or like chance. I don't know what that would do or how she'd even accomplish that, but that all she ever does is complain about how, like, oh, well, if you try, you might fail, and dreaming might bring disappointment, so I just want to make it so nothing can happen ever again, because it might be something I don't like.
You and I have both witnessed the great loss that progress can bring.
What a pathetic fucking motivation for a character. This is not something a ruler of a country should have for a motivation. This is something that, like, 12-year-old kids say whenever they don't want to do their homework. Oh, by the way, do you remember the taking away the magic tchotchkes thing? The ones that give the superpowers to people. Yeah, those are actually connected to their users' brains, and removing them effectively lobotomizes them. They lose their drive, ambition, and most of their memories, so the effects aren't identical to lobotomies, but like, you see what I'm doing. The writers did try to damage control this retroactively by saying, well, some people got them taken away and it wasn't that bad, but this dude's quest is still in the game. It's still required for the main plot, so yeah, she fucks some people up really bad. Naturally, the people of her shithole country don't like their friends and family getting their brains scrambled, so they voice their disagreements with her and the government, and rather than, you know, de-escalate the issue or find some kind of compromise to work with, she does the dumb option and immediately pushes it into a full-scale civil war. The rebels, as they're called now, start getting aid from foreign actors, the Fatui, or a separate nation that are kinda just destabilizing every nation they want to at the moment. And their aid to the rebels comes in the form of fake magic tchotchkes that kill the people who use them. So this is not going well at all. Things are just going bad all over the place. And it's so bad that the player character just kind of assumes that Raiden is so, like, in her own meditative world, or just so insulated from everything going on that she just doesn't understand what's happening. So you go talk to her, and...
I am quite well informed about the Vision Hunt Decree. Vision Hunt Decree has my tacit approval. The Fatui's actions thus far do not constitute a threat to eternity. Otherwise, they would have been purged long ago.
Well, that was way off. She knew everything the entire time. This is the most baffling thing in the entire thing. A is effectively the villain of this entire arc. She caused every horrible thing to happen exclusively toward her people. She did straight up war crimes, started a civil war, endangered so many people. She was even fine with foreign countries just coming in and just killing people.
Said and done, all you really want is to protect your beloved Inazuma forever and ever. Isn't that right?
Like, normally when you write characters, you're supposed to have causality between their motivations and their actions. And this character doesn't have that, which is what makes them so baffling. Even bad characters will kind of make sense in a certain way. Like, I made a video talking about Zhongli from Genshin, like, a while ago. How I think he's a dumb character. Zhong's motivations and his actions still make sense, though. Even though I think there are better things he could be doing, and considering how smart he's supposed to be, I feel like there are better solutions to what he's trying to do. And also ways to make it more interesting to the player, but whatever. Point is, I don't think he's a well-written character either, but this is like a different thing. Raiden does not make any sense whatsoever. And you could make her make sense kind of easily. Like, if you want A to be nice, but still kind of like do this, he's evil shtick, you could say that A has been possessed by some kind of malicious spirit thing. I don't know. You can just make something up. It really doesn't matter. And then you go and you fight A, and then afterwards the ghosty comes out, and that's like a super boss you fight. That would be cool, and you beat that up, and then A's nice again, and everything's fine. They didn't do anything like that. They just wanted her to do horrible things, and then her motivation for doing them is completely incongruous with what she was doing. No explanation for that. Fuck. This is not like an error that professional writers make. It's a little hard to explain, but like when you get to a certain skill level of any job, really, you stop making errors that are like this stupid. You know, like a mathematician's never gonna forget what like 2 + 2 is. That's just not a mistake they'd make, because it's like their thing. They just know to not make those kinds of mistakes. You know, an artist won't just forget how anatomy works overnight. That sticks with you. This is the same thing with writing. Like, you just know characters should be fueled by their motivations, which inform their actions, which determine what they do. A doesn't do that. A doesn't. This is almost like, whenever I talk to people about this, I'm like, this is not professionals' work. This is almost like a beginner's, like a fan fiction kind of deal. I know fan fiction gets like a bum rap, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You know, like, beginner writers, you're gonna have problems. That's okay. But this is in like a fully polished, like, professional game. This should not have happened. Like, I don't even know how you get this far. So Yeah, it's criticizing A on like individual moments is almost irrelevant because the core of the character doesn't make sense. There's no linking things to action. There's no point to any of that. So, like from a fundamental standpoint, it's actually very difficult to describe what's wrong with her without just saying make a different character. Allegedly, the arc after this, Sumeru, is better written, I believe, because you'd have to work to make something worse than this, and I don't think the Genshin writing team is about that. Here's the thing. I don't think you can make a great written gacha game, because the whole monetary system is built around getting players to just constantly pull on shiny new characters.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next products, next products, next products, next products.
But you can't have millions of characters in your story or your game, so older ones just get shuffled out of relevance. Because of that, you can't really do anything with most of the cast because their shelf life is just too short. You don't believe me? Think back to some of the characters from the earlier arcs, like Mondstadt and Liyue. It's been a while since some of those characters have done anything, and a lot of those characters aren't going to do anything ever again. I happen to think that characters are the backbone of your story, and without interesting developing characters, you're not really watching a story, you're watching things that happen in a sequence. Maybe I'm just getting old, but I prefer some characters that stick with me a bit longer. Characters that make me rethink how I write things, or how I think about life in general. I don't know. What do you think? Am I full of shit? Let me know. Anyway, I hoped you liked whatever this was. I'm probably not going to talk about Genshin ever again. I don't want to be the guy that just makes videos about things that make me miserable, you know? I'd much rather make videos about things that I think are really interesting or really cool. I don't just want to be another negative dude who screams about stuff on the internet. And I can't really think of anything positive to say about Genshin anymore, so I think that might be it. Though I will make videos about other cool things later, so I hope you stay tuned for whatever those things turn out to be. Anyway, you have a good one.